Hello, it's David Perlman for Conversations at the WholeNote. It is 28th of December 2011. Very Happy New Year to all of you, and a Happy New Year to you.
You too. It's going to be a very good one.
I'm with Wallis Giunta. Mezzo, I think, is the voice. When did you start calling yourself a mezzo? Or when did people start calling you a mezzo?
Actually, not till I moved to Toronto. People try not to classify young singers if they can, when they're in their teens and even early 20s. Sometimes it's not productive to label them with a voice type because their voice is still just developing and you don't know. So I was a soprano when I was younger. I started singing lessons at 12, and I guess I sang whatever repertoire felt best, but it was mostly soprano.
Right.
So I thought that's what I was intended to be, and I was learning Madame Butterfly and all these crazy things that I shouldn't be singing. And when I got to Toronto for my first year at the Glen Gould School, my teacher, Jean McPhail, said, I think you're a mezzo, dear, so let's try that. And we started singing some lower repertoire, and pretty much instantly I figured that she was right, and it really felt like a fit.
So coming back to why you're here right now, because you're flying through. You were in Ottawa for the last couple of days with family for Christmas. Before that in Montreal for a gala-type show, or not?
No, my parents live in Montreal, actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm from Ottawa, and all my extended family is there. But my parents moved to Montreal just a couple of years ago for my dad's work. So that's where our family home is now.
Oh, I see. So that was also family. And you're here for Bravissimo at Roy Thomson Hall.
New Year's Eve, the gala.
The gala. And as they say, early enough, 7 till 9, that you can go party after it's over.
It's very strategically planned.
That's good. So mostly solo repertoire, or are there going to be...
It's about 50-50. I have 2 solos and a duet and a quartet and a quintet.
Wow.
So I think it's more interesting that way. You know, aria after aria gets really boring.
Yeah, it's
no opera runs like that, so why should a show?
Right, it's a bit too much like just the fights from the hockey match.
Right.
So, so you're working with some people that you know and some people that you don't in this one. So
yeah, it's going to be a really good learning experience, and I hope to make some new friends, some colleagues from Europe. That it's a really small world, the opera world. So I love meeting people and finding that 2-3 years later you're working with them again and you didn't even know it, and you're already friends, and it happens all the time. It's very cool for us.
So this is with an orchestra.
Yep.
And orchestra on stage, soloists on stage.
Yeah.
Which is, have you sung at Roy Thomson Hall before? Or was it
Nope. Only after hours. I used to work there in the music store.
Oh, in the music store, and you
for
sneak
4
onto the
years.
stage?
Yeah, I would, at the end of my shift, sometimes just go in the hall and test it out.
So you singing anything on New Year's Eve that you've tested out in the hall before?
I'm sure I have.
Oh yeah, which?
Well, one of my kind of standard arias that I use is Una voce poco fa, and I'm sure, although I can't remember when, but I'm sure in 4 years there that I let that one rip in the hall.
Let it rip in the hall? Fantastic. It's a bit different with the orchestra on the stage for opera. But
I've done it before. I've done an opera in concert, actually. Oh, I've done a few. And I've done some where the orchestra's right behind you. At the Canadian Opera Company, at the school, at the Glen Gould School, and with Opera in Concert in Toronto.
Right.
Although they use a piano, so it's
a little different dynamic. And of course, you did the Brooklyn Nightingale.
That's
where it's kind of the reverse, where the orchestra's on stage and
we're in the pit.
In the pit, yeah.
With wetsuits.
With wetsuits, yeah.
Although I didn't have to swim.
Oh.
I got to go on the raft.
Okay. And you, in that one, you did not just Nightingale, but you did the little song.
I did one of the song cycles, Pribautki, which was acted out behind me with shadow puppetry while I was singing. Right. It was really beautiful. I didn't get to watch it, but I saw in the rehearsals I was able to just sneak a few looks.
Have you seen it on film since? Not, eh?
Is it out?
I don't think so. Lepage is quite cagey about those things.
Yeah, I think so.
So after Bravissimo, what next?
I leave right away back to New York. I live there now. I just moved there to start a young artist program at the Metropolitan Opera.
The Lindemann
Yep.
program, yeah. What's that about?
Well, it's really a lot like the Canadian Opera Company Ensemble. It's a wonderful training program for young singers who are at the point where they're finished their education, but they need a little time in the incubator still to let their voices develop, learn new repertoire, and get professional experience while still having access to all the coaching and faculty that is available there. So it's a bridging the gap kind of thing. And I have done a similar program at the COC, which was wonderful. Yeah, you were
part of the ensemble for 2 years, right?
And I loved it, absolutely. And so when I got an offer from the Met, I knew what I was in for. It was something I'd done before. It's just a higher stakes situation, bigger productions, more productions. There's every single night, there's a show pretty much.
Right.
And every day there's at least one, if not two, rehearsals on the stage. So what I'm mostly getting out of it is an exposure to literally everything, 26 or 27 operas throughout the season that I get to take in, learn. There's so many roles in there too that are for me, so I think it's ideal.
So also all of the different language,
Yep.
the language coaching and...
I'm learning German and Italian. I have private instruction on just speaking the language. We've already dealt with diction in school. Most singers by this point will have a thorough education in their phonetics and the diction, but now they're teaching us how to be conversational so we can work in Europe and work with colleagues like tonight. One of my colleagues is from Italy, so I'm going to practice with her.
All right. You were mentioning earlier Royal Conservatory, and how long was the program there?
The undergrad equivalent, they call it a performance diploma. It's 4 years, like a Bachelor of Music. And I actually only did third and fourth year of that.
Because you did the first two in Ottawa, right?
But then I also did an artist diploma, which is graduate level. So I was there for 4, and I got 2 degrees out of it.
And a collaborative pianist out of it as well. Yeah. Did you work with Stephen Philcox?
The whole time. He was my assigned coach. Every student at Glenn Gould gets a coach that they work with, along with a private teacher, throughout their whole time.
Right.
It's very unique for a school to do that. Most schools have a few coaches that you can beg to have some time with, maybe once a month, but Stephen I saw every week. And now that I'm out of school, and even while I was still in school, we collaborated together outside of the school recital format.
Okay.
He's my right-hand man for that.
Is he?
Yeah.
I was mentioning that because you were talking about some of the ensembles that you've worked with in Toronto previously, and I know you did a concert with him to open music at Sharon a couple of years ago, or
Summer
not
of 2010.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were already working with him at RC at that point?
Oh yeah. So this is our 6th year collaborating together.
Really?
Yeah. And that was our first, well, not his first professional recital, but it was my first professional recital with Stephen. Prior to that, we had done about 5 or 6 within the school, the requirements for the courses. But that was our first outside of school, and we've done a few now professionally, and also this March 1st.
I know you'll be working with him in March, in March again. So you were saying that Roy Thomson Hall, this is your first official time on stage at Roy Thomson, but you've worked pretty much everywhere else in Toronto,
I would
almost
say.
at this point.
Yeah.
I know you did a concert at Moordale two seasons ago.
That was the 09-10 season.
Yeah, with a guitarist.
Jason Vio.
Yeah, and
he's just recently contacted me to see if I would perform with him this coming summer in a festival in the States. And I will be in Germany, so I can't. But we agreed that we'd love to try and find another way to collaborate soon, because I just love singing with guitar. And we really got along. We had a good connection, and I think if I can, throughout my career, I'm going to try and keep that a vibrant part of it. Working with not just piano and orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah, guitar and anything else that I can organize.
As you did with Amici as well, where again you were singing. Again, it was a song cycle context. Right?
It was wonderful. I knew all of them already, and even Joaquin was one of my teachers, so he's on the faculty at Glenn Gould. So it was very neat to get to work with him professionally, and work with a trio. I'd never done that before.
So you can't talk about all the stuff you've got coming up, right?
Most of it not. Not anything after August.
So is there anything coming up in this year's COC season that you can't talk about?
Yes.
Good, yeah. Okay. We'll leave it there. We won't break any rules on this, but I'll look forward to hearing about that.
I think it won't be long.
Oh, good. It's the 14th of January, I think, that they announced their new season.
That's really soon.
Yeah. But you're back here on March 1st for a recital with Music Toronto.
Yeah.
Is it your first time at Music Toronto? Or
yes.
It is, okay. And that's with Stephen Philcox, who you've worked with. And when at the start of the season, that one was billed as that you were going to do an evening of English language songs.
Which I still am.
But with
there's a new
something
twist.
Of a twist that you can talk about.
I can talk about it. It's very exciting for me.
Yeah.
Since this past October, I've developed I guess a budding friendship with Rufus Wainwright and his partner Jorn, who's the new director of the Luminato Festival.
Right.
I met them in Toronto. We were performing together at a gala concert for the Village Charities Foundation, and you know we got to experience that together. It was a very interesting concert. A lot of variety on the program, so it was very neat for opera singers and other artists to kind of work together. And around the same time, I was given by a colleague in New York a new song cycle that he's written.
The Songs for Lulu.
Songs for Lulu.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. It was right before I met him, actually. He
did that cycle here himself, just before his opera, Diva. He did it at the Winter Garden.
Right, before Prima Donna.
That's right, Prima Donna.
Prima Donna was this past spring, I think, right? Luminato. Or was it 2 years ago?
The one before.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't here, I know that.
And he did that as the first half of a concert at the Winter Garden, and an audience that was much more a Rufus Wainwright audience.
And they came and they saw his other side.
You know, they saw the other side and had to be instructed on not applauding between the songs in the cycle. Were you there? Or?
I wasn't, but I know all about it. Yeah. And what's really neat is the reason that I got this song cycle was because New York City Opera was doing that very same type of concert just this past November. They did the first half, his song cycle, except they had 4 opera singers perform it.
Wow.
And he did the second half of all of his other repertoire, you know, his pop songs.
So that's kind of a bridge between the two.
And what he said at the end of the night, which was really, really smart, was, I'm doing this because I hope that the people that come here for me, for my songs, will see my classical side and will maybe come to my opera, and that the people that come here for my opera side will get to enjoy my pop songs as well. And there needs to be more of this going on. More, not so much mingling of the genres, but just getting people to open their minds to different types of music and see that there doesn't have to be a huge gap between them. That at the time operas were written 200-300 years ago, that was the pop music of the day. And that was something that everyone could enjoy and appreciate. And new opera being written today can also be taken in by anyone. It doesn't have to be just someone who would be a Wagner snob, you know. Anyone can enjoy his opera. And I think it's very clever that he's putting his music, both sides of his music, together in one concert, and it works so well.
Right. So in this particular context, it's a 12-song cycle, right? With 3 of them are Shakespearean.
Yes, sonnets.
Sonnets.
They're wonderful.
And the title piece in the cycle is one of the Shakespeare sonnets, I think.
All Days or Nights.
All Days or Nights is from the first of the 3. sonnets.
It's beautiful.
What I found myself wondering, and it's part of why I was asking you about Stephen Philcox, is that when he does it himself, he's the two-headed beast. He's his own piano and he's his own voice. And I was wondering what kind of a challenge that's going to
Well, it's very neat because when they did this in New York, it's all really incredible how it panned out. But one of the coaches for New York City Opera I work with in New York. So when I told him I was planning this recital, he said, and I said I needed some Canadian content. And he said, oh, I've got this cycle by Rufus Wainwright and it's beautiful. Have a look. So he gave it to me and I fell in love with it instantly. But then I bumped into a friend who was one of the 4 singers that was performing this. And she's someone I've worked with before, and she ended up staying with me while she was in town to do that concert. And she was able to let me come to the rehearsals and see the process as he worked through from someone who had only done it himself to coaching 4 other people to take on his baby for the first time.
Right.
So I was able to sit and watch that process, come to the concert and meet with him and talk to him. So we really, I don't know, that was just total fate. And then just Christmas Day, he sends me an email to say that he'd like to work with me on them, to coach, to just get a sense from a classical singer of what sort of markings you would need to have in the score for it to translate from what he wants to what we need to see on the page. So we're going to work together in New York, and I imagine I'll get a lot of help from him on how to perform them. It's pretty amazing how it all, fell into place.
And it's still true to what you said it was going to be. It's all still going to be English language.
Yeah, actually there's one French song.
Well, in the cycle there's one French song.
But it's still official language, so I think
absolutely.
It's okay. And it's so beautiful. And he said he'll try and come because him and his partner have a place here now.
Right.
So I think it's pretty incredible.
That's really going to be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to it.
For someone who grew up as a huge Rufus Wainwright fan.
Right.
And has seen him live multiple times since I was probably 14, 15. It's very neat for me.
I wanted to ask you about that a little bit because it seems to me that even some of your classical repertoire you don't necessarily come to through classical channels. I'm thinking about the Corpus Christi.
Oh yeah.
Which I was wondering whether you knew that before you heard Jeff Buckley's version of it.
No, Jeff Buckley original. My father works in the music industry, and he works in pretty much everything but classical music. So I was raised on a healthy diet of non-classical, and Jeff Buckley is his favorite artist. I think that's probably true. So that album has been in my head since I was probably a fetus. And I really just grew up listening to it. And then when I found out who Benjamin Britten was, when I started learning about composers, I thought, oh, you mean I can legitimately sing this song and in a recital and no one's going to say, don't sing a rock song?
So after March, are we going to see a lot of you this year, or is New York going to be...
I'll still be living in New York. Because it's a 2-year minimum program. So yeah, this is my first year. I'll have one more season there, but I will say that I'll be back in Toronto for at least 2 months.
Great.
Yeah, next season.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Getting back to Bravissimo for a second.
Sure.
I've noticed that I've looked at some of the YouTube stuff, and you're more comfortable with the microphone than some people doing your job.
Good eye. I actually did a lot of that when I was younger. I performed in a jazz band for a while at Ottawa U with some of my colleagues. We wrote our own rep. I used to sing at telethons a lot. I don't know if they even have those on television anymore, but for charities in Ottawa, Heart and Stroke Foundation, Children's Hospital. Through my dad's connections in the music industry, I would get nominated for those and I would volunteer to go in. So I've done quite a bit of it. Not so much recently, but definitely as a child and a teen, I performed with a microphone. My sister is a singer-songwriter as well, so we would perform at open mic nights and events around Ottawa a lot.
So if they decide on New Year's Eve to
I'll be
make
fine.
5 tenors out of you, you'll be fine.
I'll be fine, although I would feel like it would be sacrilege in Roy Thomson Hall.
I hope so.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I've enjoyed this.
Me too.
Looking forward to New Year's Eve and to March.
Thank you.
And to whatever they're going to announce
Very soon.
very soon.
Thank you so
Lovely.
much.
You're welcome.